Now we've come to the featured moment, and we have a home run speaker with us today. We're excited. I'm going to turn it over to fellow club member Shan Cooper, who is Executive Director of Atlanta Committee for Progress. Shan, there you are. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thanks, President Cannon. Thank you very much.
To you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, our guest speaker today is a multi-talented, multifaceted leader who calls Atlanta home. Though he relocated here at the age of 9, we consider him one of Atlanta's sons. He came here, and this is where he launched an amazingly successful career in the music industry. But Chris is so much more than that. He is an actor, he is an entertainer, he's an entrepreneur, he's a philanthropist, and he's a business leader, and one who cares and gives to all of us. So Chris, welcome to the program today.
Thanks for having me today. Thanks to the Rotary Club as well. It's a beautiful Monday afternoon, so I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. We're thrilled to have you with us. So Chris, we're going to spend the next few minutes actually with our getting to know more about you. So I'll have some questions about Chris.
Okay.
Then we'd like to have you educate us on the music industry itself. So help us understand how it all works. And then finally, we want to close with the impact that the music industry has on Atlanta and the state of Georgia and our role in all of that. And
Sure.
so we know you're the man with all the answers. So we're going to just jump right in if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm not the man with all the answers, but I'll do my best to answer whatever I can, for sure. I don't think any of us have all the answers, but I'm with it. Let's go.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So you've got a very impressive resume. Like I said, musician, entrepreneur, entertainer, philanthropist, businessman. Of all of that, which do you prefer to be referred to? Which title do you like the best, and why?
I like being referred to as all of those things that you just said. That's a beautiful thing. It's hard to name just one, but I mean, I kind of pride myself on just being multifaceted and, trying to lead by example and let other people know that there is that there are multi titles that you can hold. And sometimes it's about concentrating on one thing at a time, but just making, I'm kind of making my legacy and just making sure that I take my time and make my mark in each and every one of those areas. And I'm very blessed because I feel like the number one sought out kind of jobs or dream jobs in this world is one like a rock star or a rap star, or just entertainer, period. And then the number two is kind of like actor. So I've been able to fulfill kind of both of those areas and fulfill my curiosity. So I'm very blessed because not everyone is able to do that. So I understand, how blessed I am. And I just want to just say that because a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to enter both of those realms and make it a reality.
Wonderful. You are certainly blessed and certainly a role model for the rest of us. Not many of us are as multi-talented, sir, as you are. I'll tell you, I'll confess. Okay. Not many of us can do that. So what would you consider, though, your greatest accomplishment?
I would consider my greatest accomplishment being a father out of all of those things. I have 3 children, all daughters. So there's a lot of estrogen rolling around my household. The only other male is a dog. So I take constant walks outside with the other male. Just to, balance things out. And I work out a lot because that's why there's a lot of testosterone in me. I have to balance out all this estrogen in my house. But I would have to consider being a father the greatest accomplishment because paving the way for the new generation and teaching them and doing everything in my power to uplift and, uphold and equip them with the proper tools that they're going to need for the future. And it's a hard future, but you got to equip them, and I feel like I'm very prepared for that, so I'm doing my best.
Wonderful. Well, let's talk about that next generation. Tell us a little bit about your journey. What were some of the defining moments? I mean, I know you didn't just wake up and say, I'm going to be this amazing rock star, this amazing person, and be hugely successful. I'm certain there were some challenging times. Share a little bit of the journey with us.
Yeah, there were many challenging times. I started rapping when I was like 9 years old, so it took over 10 years to finally become commercially successful. But I think one of the defining moments was around when I was 19 years old and I had just finished high school. And I started working at this radio station that is now called 107.9 in Atlanta, Georgia, which a lot of you probably know about. that at the time it was Hot 97.5. And the reason for me wanting to get a job up there was to become an intern and just put myself in a position where I could get all the producers and all the artists that frequent the radio station to listen to my music, because I've been doing music since 9, and I finally started making a voice for myself around that time. So what ended up happening was I worked at this radio station and I was able to record my own music, and eventually I let people like Timberland and Jermaine Dupri and Organized Noise hear the music. And that's when I started developing these relationships from working at this radio station, and put out What's Your Fantasy, which was my first official single on my own before getting signed to Def Jam Records. And the rest is pretty much history. But I would say that was a very defining moment, just having the, kind of the strategic plan and intelligence to put myself in an area where I knew it was only a matter of time before someone latched on and helped me kind of catapult myself to where I needed to be.
Well, that's awesome. And talk to just a little bit too. So that was the music side of who you are.
Yeah.
But you're in these awesome movies. I love the whole Fast and Furious series, right? And so you landed there. How'd you make the transition again from music to now this acting, being this great actor?
Yeah, I kind of got lucky, to be honest with you, because a lot of times there are directors that shoot movies that notice talent in musical artists. And what I mean by that is, musical artists, we shoot videos and you can see a lot of personality, form of acting out our own words and emotions in our own music videos. And John Singleton, may he rest in peace, he must have noticed that, and he wanted me to try out for the film he was directing, was Too Fast, Too Furious. And from there, I tried out and I got the part, and the rest is history. And it was kind of one of those things where I was on tour with Eminem at the time, and I literally had to put myself on tape backstage, like within 15, 20 minutes of me going on stage, because from my understanding, I think there was another artist that wanted too much money or something. Like, I wasn't the first choice. And then John eventually came to me, and that's why I had to hurry up and do the part and basically put myself on tape. And I got the part, I got the call the next day. And all I can say is thank you to that artist that is the individual that was asking for too much money, that allowed the opportunity to come to myself.
That's wonderful, but that also speaks to your talent as well. Absolutely. So, Chris, I want to talk a little bit more about, because I know you care so much about the next generation. I've got one question that's come in that I want to ask. This question is actually from Doug Hooker. Going a little bit out of order here, but I thought this was a powerful one. It says, what is your message to young people of color today about the current social unrest?
Yeah, I feel like we have to make our voices heard. There are a lot of different things we can do, voting being very important, and voting being one of them. But, the same way we study history in school, we are a part of history right now. So, you can get out there and safely, because of COVID, there are protests going on, and I want to stress peaceful protest and standing up for what you believe in, and just making holding these companies accountable, knowing where you spend your dollars. There's so many different things, but those are just a few that I would name right now. And right now, since this is an election year and voting is coming up, not only, voting for the presidential election, but, locally, that's extremely important as well for all of the things that are going on in the city and the town and the state that you live in. So, again, these are just a few, but I would definitely say, make your voice heard in those ways, because there's power in numbers. And if everybody does a lot, or if everybody does a little, then no one has to do a lot.
Right. Thank you for that advice, Chris. That's great advice. So let me talk a little bit more about your role as a philanthropist. I know you do a lot in terms of, again, supporting our youth, as well as a bit of focus on food insecurity. As you think about Atlanta, what do you think is the city's greatest need?
The city's greatest need, we have so much. There's a lot of great things, but we're at a point in time where we're at a fork in the road. And I feel like what we need right now is obviously more. There's so much talent here. There's so much of the arts that I feel like we need something to help facilitate all of these kids that have so much talent. So I feel like creating jobs, having something that deals with the arts in terms of how kids can express themselves because of the talent that's here, and trying to figure out how we can continue to make so many more dreams come true. Because a lot of times, kids need to see it. It's okay to, look on the internet and you see certain things possible, but being here in Georgia, if you're able to really see an example of what you want to become, and if you're able to see other kids that are like-minded that are doing the same thing, then I feel like that is giving them so much more inspiration to try to really achieve their goals, because some people think that their goals aren't achievable. They just dream, and they don't really attach the reality to their dream. And there are so many kids and so many people making their dreams come true that I feel like we just need more of that, and where kids can kind of come together and see it.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to shift focus now and talk a little bit more about you're educating us on how the industry actually works. So I can assure you, we probably have several members of Rotary who either have children or grandchildren, in my case, grandchildren, who we believe are extremely talented, and that we're hoping that they too would be discovered or find fame in the industry. But here's an important question for parents and grandparents. How do musicians actually make a living? How do you make the money?
there's there's different ways musicians make money, or like myself, the biggest ones are publishing, which is really writing your own material, because there is a certain amount of streams or a certain amount of album sales, and there is a algorithm that you receive a certain amount of money based on what percentage that you wrote of a song. And what I mean by that is you have a producer owns 50% of the beat if he's done it himself, and the other 50% goes to the writer's share. So, I don't want to get over anyone's head, but this is pretty much how we make money in terms of when you write your own stuff. And then the second way that we make our money is usually doing live shows, which a lot of those have really, really calmed down right now. And you see a lot of viral experimentation going on in terms of how shows can be maybe supplemented right now. So, but those are the two biggest ways: doing shows, doing live shows, touring, and there's publishing. And that's mostly how musicians make money.
Right. Thank you. My granddaughter is 4 years old. I'm going to get her to start writing here in a couple of years.
Yeah, there you go. By the way, I just want to say there are so many people behind the scenes that write music that actually may have even more money than a lot of people think that some of their favorite artists do. Because there are some artists out there that don't write their records, and that's not to down them. It's just letting you know where the money really is. A lot of times it's the people behind the scenes that are producing and writing the music. Like, say for instance, someone like a Pharrell, who was a producer, he's very lucrative business in terms of how many publishing checks I'm sure that he receives based on the work that he's done, or Timbaland, or, Quincy Jones is a great example of someone who's extremely successful.
Wonderful. Thanks for that, Chris. So as I mentioned earlier, so many of us don't really understand this industry. And so, but we know it's different. I can attest that as I see all these folks now, these television shows, The Voice and other things that are happening on television now that discovers talent, the advent of technology, you talked about now having to operate in this virtual world, as well as, music at some point became free online. And so from your perspective, how has it changed, and what's the current state of the industry overall from your perspective? Let's take the last 10 years. What have you seen that's been different, and kind of where do you see us going?
Yeah, I'd say the last 10 years, it's changed because you've gone from, CD to streaming. And, what I would say is, when you look at the MP3 and things of that nature, it's really just about how music is sold or how it's distributed. And now you have digital streaming platforms like Spotify, and like Apple Music and Pandora. And now there's a certain amount of streams that equate to an album sale, whereas before it was just about selling physical copies of an album, or downloaded. Like that's basically a lot of how the music industry has changed in terms of how kids are downloading things now. And also how videos are counting, how many views you get on YouTube with your music video, and those count towards album sales as well. So there are constant changes that are going on. And again, when you write your music, with these streams, those equate to back to what I was saying about how us musicians get paid.
So, Chris, Atlanta has become known as the hip hop capital, I think, of the world, the universe. We like to go big, right? But historically, how did hip hop evolve in Atlanta, and where do you see it going?
Man, it has evolved tremendously. You know, the crazy thing is that I want to say Outkast just celebrated something like 20, 25 years of success. And I named them because, you know, they were instrumental in, I would say, breaking Atlanta out as a force to be reckoned with when it comes to hip hop in this city. And then Goody Mob, and you know, you had all these different artists that paved the way for individuals like myself. And so I would say that's where it kind of started out in terms of, you had the LaFace records here, you had Crisscross. So, you know, shout out to Jermaine Dupri, and, you know, you had Rowdy Records with ABC. And in terms of why people call this the Motown of the South, I believe those three record labels were very instrumental in, you know, the reason why people would call it that. So LaFace, So Def, Rowdy Records. And then, you know, you have so many other genres of music as well. But I think, you know, from my standpoint, what really inspired me was the kind of launch of those three labels and what they were able to do and what they were able to accomplish in terms of changing the world for Atlanta music and artists forever to come.
Wow. So Chris, in 2004, we watched you do a collaboration with Usher. In 2018, we watched you work with Carrie Underwood. And sometimes you wouldn't think of, you know, your style and Carrie's style and other people's style coming together. But there seems to be a lot of collaboration happening. Can we expect to see more of that in the future? And then my other question to you is there someone out there you'd like to privately share with this group, your best friends today? Is there someone out there that you're looking forward to maybe doing a collaboration with in the music space that you haven't worked with?
Yeah, to answer the first question, those artists, you know, a lot of times that's what's also great about Georgia and what's about Atlanta. We collaborate with each other so much. I know Carrie is in Tennessee, but those artists asked me to get on those songs. You know, featuring is something great because you get to bring both fan bases together. And it's always a beautiful thing when people are able to come together and make music and it sounds like, you know, they were in the studio together. And nowadays it's less of that. But when it's cohesive in terms of two completely different artists coming together and making a record that both fan bases appreciate, and it even expands both of their fan bases, even to other people that, you know, had never heard of them, that's what the excitement of them being an artist in the music industry is all about. I've collaborated with so many different people, but there's always going to be individuals that I'm sure I'm going to want to collaborate with that I have not. The person that comes to mind was, I was saying earlier, I was on tour with Eminem. It would be great. You know, we had kind of dibbled and dabbled with some records, but we never made it official. So I would love to get a song with Eminem at some point.
Awesome. Wonderful. We'll keep that a secret. Okay. Just all 300 of us on the call today, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's talk about Atlanta. Let's talk about Atlanta, the music industry. So most people see, you know, Nashville, Austin, Seattle as music cities. How does Atlanta compare from your perspective, and what differentiates us?
That's a good question. I think all of those cities you named are great music cities. I think they all contribute, you know, maybe something different. But in terms of what I was saying earlier about how people have kind of called Atlanta the Motown of the South, man, I feel like Atlanta artists as a group and as a whole and the different genres have been, you know, arguably controlling the music industry for like the past decade and more, just constantly coming with hits back and forth, left and right, that are on the Billboard 100 and 200 charts. And again, I attribute that to us working together and knowing that there's something in the water down here in this city and in this state that that people identify with around the world. And that's why I feel like there's so much more, you know, that the kids that are looking up to ones like myself or like the Outkast or the Futures, because they want to help to try and figure out how they can make their mark in the music industry as well. So it's just one of those things where, you know, I would love to answer that question with a definitive answer, but it's just something in the water here. It's just something in the water.
Right. Well, my next question was going to be, I mean, what do we need to do? Right. I mean, if you could paint the picture of the future of Atlanta, the music industry, what might that look like? Are we known as the music city? Are we known as something greater than that? I mean, just paint
Yeah,
the picture for us.
we are known as that. I would just say maybe some certain facilities that can help to, again, help this music city flourish even more, because we don't know the possibilities of how much more great music we can put out until we give certain kids or, certain individuals the opportunity to express themselves and put them around people that can maybe teach them musical instruments. And some people have this talent, but they would never really know because they're not able to really tap into it because there's so many other things going on, or they can't afford instruments, or they can't afford a musical education. So I would just say something that can help facilitate their dreams and goals.
Wonderful. So, another quick question, Chris, as it relates to the role of the business community in the music industry. You mentioned earlier that it's more than just the performing and actually being the entertainment of it. What role does business play in? I mean, you're a business leader. You're managing your business, and what role does business play in the music industry? Business community.
Business is the most important thing, and it's the most important role in the music industry. There's so many artists that I'm sure people love that are no longer around. It's more than likely because they didn't have their business together. I remember reading a book called All You Need to Know About the Music Industry way before I got signed. So at least you can wrap your head around what the different jobs are and just understand. So, it's important to have lawyers. It's important to have these different individuals around you, but you have to understand that stuff yourself as well. Otherwise, you're going to get taken advantage of. So it is the business of music. And in order to have longevity and a career that is, just worthwhile in terms of being able to negotiate certain points, you have to have your business together. So that's probably even more important than the music sometimes, obviously, and having a great team around you.
Right. So, Chris, you have a studio. I think it's called Disturbing the Peace. How do you plan to grow it?
Yeah. So, there are times, that's what the life of a record company is, new artists. So, we've been able to put out artists in the past like Bobby V, Chingy. These albums have gone, gold and platinum, and now it's just about trying to find out, the new talent and who those new talented artists are. So I plan to continue to do like all record companies and, find the talent that is the life that continues to recirculate all of this talent, especially that's in my backyard here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live. That's extremely important.
So how do you go about finding that talent? Are you hosting, I don't know, talent shows? Are people just following you at the mall? Are they just sending you, recordings?
Yeah.
How do you identify this? Because I agree with you. I think we've got great talent here in Atlanta. But how do you identify it? How do you know that's the voice? That's what I want right there.
They're definitely not following me in the mall with masks on right now. No, not with the COVID. I'm not even in the mall. So it's important that we're quarantining and staying safe. But to answer your question, I think the best thing people can do, since we're talking about how times have changed, is that, you can kind of put your own music out, and it doesn't cost as much anymore to somehow record yourself and even shoot a video. You can shoot a video on your iPhone for what it's worth, and put something and upload it on YouTube. And I think the job is for me to come to you, for me to have someone say, man, Ludacris, you have to check out this video by this guy. It's, it's got this many views. So now people, they don't have to like all that talking a good game or someone coming up to you saying how great their music is, or let me freestyle, or let me do this. It's all out the window. Show and prove to me how great you are by letting me know how many people, a small following and group you can get as a fan base on your own. And then we can talk and have the conversation. So that's the advice that I would give.
Okay, we're gonna spread the word. This is how you get to Ludacris. This is how you do it.
Not only myself, but everybody. Then
everybody, exactly.
Yeah, it becomes one of those things where it's you have a whole lot of people trying to get you, and then you have leverage to kind of even get more of what you want. So all the people watching, make sure you understand that. Very important.
Exactly. I want to come back to the music industry, Chris, in just a second, but I've gotten a question here about your restaurant. Uh, You have a restaurant now in Hartsfield International Airport, and the audience wants to know how is it going and why you chose a restaurant here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's still going. It's in Concourse D of Hartsfield Atlanta Airport. It's called Chicken and Beer. It is it's going well. You know, there was a time where because of the pandemic, a lot of people like the airport was shut down and it was operating at very, very slow speeds for a time. But now people are starting to travel under safe guidelines again, so everything is okay. So if you get a chance, then go buy that. And then why would I do it in Atlanta? What? Where else would I want to put it? I mean, come on, this is the busiest airport in the entire world. So if there was a place that I was going to try to, make that work, it would definitely be here.
Wonderful. Well, we're so glad you chose Atlanta. So my last question, Chris, future looks bright. You seem happy today and excited about life. So as you look to the future, though, is there something that you're really excited about that's going to be new and great?
Man, there are a lot of things that I'm new, excited about that are new and great. And I've wished upon a star a couple times here, and there's one thing that really comes to mind that sticks out more than the rest, to be honest. And I feel like we have a video that can kind of explain more of what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna kick it over to this video.
Okay, great.
Hi there. I'm Michael Sticka, president of the Grammy Museum Foundation. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be with you today, but I did want to take a moment, record this message, and share a bit more about our impact and our mission. Each year, the Grammy Museum impacts more than 30,000 students. Whether it's students touring our museum in Los Angeles, leaving inspired with smiles, or students at our Grammy in the Schools programming, which is nationwide, with the goal of fostering the next generation of music's creators and music's leaders. We're a museum. We celebrate music. We preserve music. That's why we're incredibly proud to partner with the Georgia Music Accord, especially given Atlanta's and Georgia's deep and rich musical heritage. What better way to start a partnership than through education? We're proud to be able to offer our Grammy in the Schools online and many lessons available to teachers across Georgia free of charge, all through our partnership with the Georgia Music Accord. I'm sure there's so much more to our future, and we're very excited about that. There's no better way to have sustaining and lasting impact than through education. And what better tool than music? Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Wow,
Chris,
wow,
that
wow.
sounds exciting. Woohoo!
So, man, literally, he just entailed everything that I was talking about that we need in Georgia. So I'm also proud to announce we've been keeping it a secret, but now the cat is out of the bag. The future looks very bright in terms of all the kids that I was talking about that need, help facilitate their dreams and goals, and to see it firsthand, that is going to help them be even more inspired, and we're going to create more jobs. And this is long overdue, in my opinion. They had one in LA, and I feel like now it's here in Atlanta, Georgia. I cannot wait.
Well, neither can I. I think you've got us all excited on the call today. So we look forward to learning more about it, Chris, as you all proceed with that work. But we're excited to have Atlanta chosen for the partnership with the Grammys, and certainly look forward to working with the Georgia Music Accord. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership in that. And I'm going to see if I've got any more questions here for you before I let you run off. I do have a question. The question is, what performer would you pay to see live?
I would definitely pay to see Michael Jackson and Prince. I would say both of them live again. If they're gone too soon, may they both rest in peace. And it's just hard losing individuals that are so talented like those that, that they're, as artists, we all wish that our music will last for years. Some will last for decades, and then you have some that'll just last for centuries. And those are two artists whose music is going to last for centuries. And, it's just, I would say those two.
Oh, great response. I would absolutely agree with you on that. So I'll open and encourage the audience again to ask questions of Chris while we have him here. And Chris, while we wait, I'll ask one. I know, if I have this correctly, you are a graduate of Banneker High School here in the city. Do
Yep.
you ever go back to the school? Have you had the opportunity to get back or?
Oh, always. I do a lot of charity work with them, and
Excellent.
we just help them get band uniforms, and I do a lot of work with Banneker. So it's only right. We have to all take care of our own. I actually have a group of kids that I work with, same way we're gonna do with this, this Grammy opportunity, and just try to help facilitate and flourish their dreams as well. So always reaching back and giving back is extremely important. And yes, I'm on a constant. Working relationship with Banneker and the students and the band and the music program, all of those things.
Well, let me close, Chris, by saying thank you. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you for all that you give and do to the city. We're excited about your upcoming project, and just appreciate who you are. As I've gotten to know you a little bit more, I have to tell you, it's just a joy to call you friend, and look forward to continue to support your work and as best that we can. Thank you again for joining Rotary today. President Cannon, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, great. Chris, thank you. What a wonderful interview, wide-ranging. Shan, you did a wonderful job moderating that. I mean, we covered culture in Atlanta, economics of the business, and business of music, and just the talent pool that Atlanta has. Great interview. Two quick questions, Chris, if you don't mind, before we go. We have about 2 minutes left, maybe in the program. The first one does come in from the audience, and it asks, how important is it to have music in the schools?
I think it's extremely important to have music in the schools, just being able to express yourself. People don't understand how far that can go. Life is about balance. So yes, we all definitely need, the book education, but in terms of the arts, especially here in our state of Georgia, as we've seen, is also very, very important to be able to express yourself, your emotions, your thoughts. It's therapeutic. It brings the world together. I mean, I could go on and on. Music it's one of the only things, if not the only thing, that utilizes every single part of your brain at once. Need I say more? Look that up.
Right. Well, and with schools with budget cuts and challenges, I mean, it's a tough but important question, and you've certainly indicated how important it is. Absolutely. Second question, and maybe our closing question, just going back to the big picture. In this year, we're dealing with the pandemic, and we're also dealing with racial and economic injustice. And those two have, the pandemic has made much of those challenges even worse in some respect. So I'm just wondering, ultimately, we're seeing signs that we're making progress this year. But many will say we've tried this before and tried to create equality, and it hasn't happened yet. Is this time different in your view? And are you optimistic about the future?
I think this time is different, and just my opinion, I think it's going to take a very long time, and I think it's only right to try to stay optimistic. I feel it's different because I'm seeing a lot of new faces out there protesting, as opposed to just the ones we've seen in the past. And that does give me a sense of optimism and hope, with people coming together from all around the world to fight this. So yes, that would be the reason why I would stay optimistic about it.
Well, that's great. Well, we appreciate your opinion on that. And once again, we thank you and Shan for providing us a great program today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.